stillness at the center of the whirling that exists, that you can tap into. And you feel as if you're in the eye of the hurricane. Everyone disappears, and it feels easier to remain whirling than to stop.
DJing, you look at the dance floor, there are black people, white people, Jewish people, Muslim people, gay, straight, young, old, and it did not matter. In that one single space, you just realize that in the essence we are all the same. And that idea is exactly the essence of Sufism, is unifying the people and not worrying about, you know, who we think we are. I consider myself just a student, learning every single day. Like a little kid actually playing with the stones in the shore, and there is this whole ocean, what we call Sufism.
This is Lahore, one of my favorite cities and the cultural and artistic capital of Pakistan. It's an incredibly lively and vibrant place, famous for its Punjabi food and, of course, its music. Here, it's the dole drum that drives the local Bhangra sound. It's the heartbeat, in many ways the soundtrack to the city. Jenny, let's go. I've heard the dole used endlessly in Bhangra, but I've come to Lahore to see how it's used in one of the city's Sufi shrines. Every Thursday night, the night before the Muslim holy day, this is the ritual at the Baba Shah Jamal shrine. Drummers with their huge dole drums work spectators and devotees into a frenzy. What it immediately reminds me of course, is the whirling dervishes we've seen in Turkey. But it's less refined, more raw, and much more elemental. This must have been what it was originally like in Rumi's day. In the 13th century, it wasn't the kind of classical ballet. It was this real primeval feeling which led people to wajj, to ecstasy. And in that sense, it's very exciting. It's like looking through a window into a lost period of Sufi history. If there's one figure who's completely synonymous with the Sufi music of Pakistan, it is, of course, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. He was a huge figure in every sense of the word. I once saw him perform towards the end in Scotland, and he had to be virtually winched onto the stage. But he was the great ambassador of Sufi music. He died in 1997, aged only 49. But as you can see here, he left behind him an extraordinary array of CDs. We must have about 200 here.
Yes.
Does he still sell? Is he remembered?
Yes, this is the number one.
Still number one?
Yes,
fantastic.
this is number one.
The style of music Nusrat performed is called Qawwali, a distinctive fusion of devotional poetry and Hindustani music. Largely thanks to Nusrat, it's become probably the best-known style of Sufi music in the world.
मैं पहली बार खान साहब के साथ यूनाइटेड किंगडम के टूर पे गया। वो बहुत बड़ा मुझे एक एक्सपीरियंस हुआ कि इस तरह भी होता है कि लोग बोली समझ रहे ना होने के बावजूद भी जो दिल से जो बात बंदा कह रहा है उसको वो समझ रहे होते हैं.
Nusrat's music reached an even wider audience when Must Must was used for a Coca-Cola ad. Some criticised him for using spiritual music, praising a great Sufi saint, to sell fizzy drinks. But Nusrat took a different view.
जब हम गाते हैं तो एक पैगाम होता है जो भाईचारे का, मोहब्बत का, अपनी मीडिया के तहत अपनी आवाज़ को और अपने पैगाम को वो पहुंचाना चाहते थे, तो ये इससे बेस्ट तरीका मुझे नजर नहीं आया.
Sufi music and poetry was hugely important in bringing the message of Islam to a wider audience as the new religion slowly began to be adopted by a predominantly Hindu population from the 12th century onwards. This piece was composed in the 13th century by the Sufi poet and musician Amir Khusro. It's believed to be the first ever qawwali. In performance, qawwali singers often spontaneously incorporate the words of other poets such as Rumi.
To hear the song still sung in a saint's shrine, in a living shrine where people still come with their most profound hopes and fears, is to have the thing put in context. This is where they were written, and this is where they are still best heard performed.
Sometimes the words of the qawwali text are broken down to fragments and syllables, the name of the saint being repeated over and over again. Amir Khusro, the creator of qawwali, is buried in Delhi. He's regarded as one of the great fathers of North Indian classical music. It's a sign of the respect in which he is held that his tomb stands next to that of his great Sufi master, Nizamuddin Aulia, one of the most venerated of all Indian saints. For me, this is coming home. For 5 years I used to live around the corner from here, and it's where I first heard Sufi music, and was amazed to discover a form of Islam so very different from anything the prejudices of my upbringing had led me to expect.
यही चीज तो प्यारी लगी यहाँ पे, न हिंदू, न मुसलमान, न सिख, न ईसाई, सभी धर्म के आ सकते हैं और सभी धर्म के इकट्ठे होकर उस प्रभु से प्रार्थना कर सकते हैं. यहाँ एक मिल्लत का ऐसा चिराग मिला मोहब्बत का, न वो हिंदू है, न मुसलमान है, न वो सिख है, न ईसाई है, उसका सच्चा नूर बैठा है.
I've been living in and writing about India for nearly 20 years now, and during that time there's been a depressing amount of violence between Hindus and Muslims. And against this background, a place like Nizamuddin, I think, is terribly, terribly important, because this is still a place where Hindus and Muslims, Sikhs and Christians all come together to pray, to bring their most profound wishes to the saint and to listen to qawwalis, all sitting down together. So here you have Sufism not as something sort of fluffy and otherworldly, but something that